We're going to go ahead and get started. We got everybody here now. And we got a lot on the work session.
Hit that gavel, man. They not listening.
Yes. All right, guys. Item number 1 is discussion of decommissioning substations at Nichols and Church. Mr. Ben, is that you, sir?
So we're getting to the point now where we got to decommission both sites. And for the city to do their due diligence, we need to get Southern Science to come in and just test the sites. Each site gets multiple testing spots. They'll come out and pretty much auger by hand soil samples. And the one over Nichols, they actually have to swipe that for any hard surfaces, which is concrete and the steel structure. That's pretty much it.
And then obviously we're doing this right now out of an abundance of caution.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if they find something, then we have to go through and do some remediation work?
Yes, that's what would come back. This is just step 1 of the process. I mean, even when we bought the new Nichols site from another utility, they did the same testing for us when we bought it. It's just making sure we do our part. So.
Absolutely.
Ben, how extensive would that be? I don't think there's anything there. You and I have a conversation about this, but even if we saw something in the ppm, parts per millions, how much would it be like we did at the clock corner when we went in and kind of had to dig it up?
Yeah, we'd have to dig it up.
I think is that what the next step would be? If I'm just talking out loud,
right.
you know.
So I don't think you have to dig as deep as you would have to at the clock corner.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
So,
yeah. But I talked to you about that, especially if council decides to do that, especially on the one that we're talking about making a green space. You know, I think that's pertinent on us to do.
Yeah, I don't think I don't frankly don't think we have a choice.
That's right.
I mean,
but even if it was a choice, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yes,
yes,
for sure.
That's right.
So,
It's item 9 on tonight's agenda,
Yeah, it's
right?
item 9 on tonight's agenda.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anything else?
Any questions for Ben? Any other questions for Ben? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is discussion of the naming of the clock corner. Mayor?
I'll address that. So I think I've probably talked to each of you individually, but we've talked about trying to come up with a name for the clock corner. We keep calling it the clock corner. If we keep calling it that, it's just going to stick. So it really has no historical, value, and just wanted to look for kind of a creative name. And so we tossed some things around. And I came up with Gaston Plaza, and that kind of pays tribute to the Gaston family, who is, of course, founders here in Fairhope. And there was Gaston Ford Motor Company that was there on that site. So just thought that we could, do a plaque to commemorate that. We'll also do a plaque to commemorate the single tax, partnering with the city, purchasing that land and donating it back to the community. So just wanted to get your input on that. If you like that idea, then we'll bring it forth to the council for an official naming before we get started on the project.
I like it. I mean, I think it's got historical significance to the piece of property itself. Robinson Corner was shot down, so I get that.
No, I was for you, dude.
But no, I think it makes sense. I think it sounds like a good name. Again, with some historical ties to that specific site.
Right, that corner.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize that was a auto dealership.
Mm-hmm.
So I was interested in, and as we met with the mayor and was trying to figure it. You didn't put my name on there. My idea, my Christmas corner. Christmas corner was a good idea, but anyway.
I did mention that.
My idea, dude.
I did mention it, but I don't.
We want it to be used for many events, not just.
Well,
Christmas.
yeah, but the big event though is the Christmas corner. But I digress.
It was a little bit like a Hallmark movie.
That's right.
So I thought Gaston Plaza was maybe.
We know what channel Corey watches.
Yes, we do. We do.
That's right. So, but in all seriousness, as I was reading the different historical events that went on there, I was thinking, there were a couple of founders. Coleman was one of the 28 founders as well.
There was.
And then I thought, Founders Plaza, but we have founders everywhere.
We do. We have founders. We have founders.
We don't want to be redundant. But then I was like, well, no, I'm talking to myself, right? And I was like, well, I think EB, hush, Mark. I think EB would be, because he started the single tax and he was the leader of the single tax. No offense to Coleman, but I think, in my opinion, EB would be the guy that we give it to historically, since he had so much weight on this land. But at the same time, we leave a marker there with all of that information
Right.
that you gave us, not just about the automobile, but each of those guys that you presumed on our information
Right,
sheet.
right.
We marker that.
We can
I
do
mean,
that,
what- I
yeah,
mean,
with
what
the
y'all
time,
think? I
with the
mean,
timeline of the property.
That way, we kind of win-win. Everybody's talked about one name, but everybody's in there.
Well, it's not a very big corner, so how much, how many plaques are we gonna do?
So
No,
the
one
wa-
marker, dude. The information, one marker. Hush.
The way we're talking about doing the way we're talking about doing the signage is, there's a seating bench, and there'll be a bronze plaque on either side of the seating bench, just not to take away, because you don't want a bunch of signs in that plaza.
No, yeah,
But
one sign.
we'll design something, and we'll make
It's a
sure.
marker.
We'll-
You can
yes.
put that, like,
Yes.
all the information about those guys that you mentioned in our information
We'll,
packet.
we'll make that work, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? This is just the first of some naming opportunities that I've discussed with y'all, so we'll be bringing those back periodically over the next couple months, just for different naming opportunities throughout the city. Okay.
Yes. So EB?
Yeah.
I don't think it should be James. I think it should be EB.
No, it was going to be Gaston Plaza.
Okay, just
Yes,
period.
yes.
Okay, I'm just, all right.
I don't think anybody will call it EB Gaston Plaza. I think it'll be shortened to Gaston Plaza anyway,
got you.
but we'll include
Right.
all the proper information in the
Okay.
timeline.
I think Robinson Gaston Plaza sounds pretty good too. Just leave that. All right, thank you,
All right,
Mayor.
very good.
All right, next up is discussion of utilities line of credit.
Good evening. You have a packet there, a couple of packets that I left for y'all, but just talk about the line of credit. So as part of the budget, when we passed the
Bless you.
budget for water and sewer, or water and wastewater, it was budgeted for a $15 million line of credit. And before I put that out for bid, I just want to be able to, just have a discussion with y'all of kind of where we are. You wanted me to spend cash down, and I'm getting where I'm spending the cash down, and so I don't want it to get to the point that we have spent all the cash down, because it's going to take a process of getting the line of credit done, get it back to y'all to approve. I did also attach to documentation that contracts that have already been approved, work's being done, started, and you can already see that we've got projects rolling out, and right now we've got about $15 million of different projects, from water lines, sewer lines, that's going on. This does not include the restore, which we have a grant for. So that's a whole nother that we would have to pay for, an invoice, and it takes about 3 months to get our money turned around on that, so that, has some leeway. But as you can see on the, if you look at that front sheet that I have as water and wastewater department as a consolidated, make sure you're all on the same page. As you can see down, we've got a lot of projects that look in the projections for 24, 25, 26. Those came from the director giving me last year when we were working on budget. That was a 5-year projection of where these projects should lay out. And so looking just at water and sewer, we're looking at probably have a line of credit to get us through for the next 3 to 4 years. We're looking probably about $45 million in cash flow that would need to be done. And then at the year of 27, our current debt that we have with water and sewer, the debt payments drop down, and when it drops down over $1 million, and that would be the opportunity then to turn it into something permanent, to look and see where you are with the line of credit, and at that point, you would want to turn that into something more long-term than the line of credit. Do you have any questions on that?
I I've got some questions.
Okay.
I'm trying to take a look at this kind of real quick on the fly. What is so if I'm looking at the projected column for 24 consolidated, that's showing,
That's showing a $18 million loss
just for that year?
just for that year. That's taken revenues very conservative. It's
Okay.
taken revenues very conservative and taken those projects, looking at $19 million in projects for that year. Taking our normal operations, and then we add back depreciation, because that's not real cash. It is cash and, booking assets, but that's the projection.
So 18 million shortfall the very first year. And then the 7 million, the next year is not, that's not a cumulative number, that's an additional 7 million shortfall.
That is right.
And what's the cash portion that's available to spend on this? I'm looking at all the different restricted accounts, but what's available? I mean, how much of a line of credit are you talking about?
Well, we need a minimum of 15 million, because that's what you budgeted for this year that's ending. That's at a minimum of 15 million. What we budgeted for 23 was a cash input of 15 million and to spend down 6 million in your cash. So if all those projects get done, and we know some of these are going to roll over, because, we've got rollover. So some of this is going to be what's in 24 is probably being pushed. But we do know some other projects that has come to light was the fall, if I'm saying that right, at the sewer Headworks. So a Headworks is a project that's not sitting in any of these projections. We do know we're going to get some grant money, but not to completely. So that's going to be addition to what you see here.
You're talking 23 or 24?
I'm talking into 24.
Okay. Okay.
So this year, the budget is 6 million deficit.
And that was
we'll
just,
pay all that in cash, or
I'm getting,
for 23?
I'm going to be getting close to using all that cash before September 30th,
Okay.
okay?
But that'll cover 23 effectively, right? We won't have to borrow
Carry
for
that over.
I'm asking, I'm seeing that we need to start this process to do a line of credit. For me to issue a line of credit is to go out for bid, see where our banks are.
You missed that
Do
by
you-
about a year.
I know,
Timing wise,
Well, we
But-
should, yeah, well.
I mean.
but it's, the direction I
said
got
we
was
should
to
did it
spend
last year, we got
cash.
it.
Yeah.
And the direction to spend cash, and that's what we're doing. We're spending the cash, and, but I'm gonna need cash flow to finish these projects. As you see on one sheet I gave you, we've let out contracts, work is being done. We're getting water lines, we're getting sewer lines, and, so those are rolling, which we budgeted to do these projects. I need direction from y'all. Is it going to be 15 million? Is it going to be something greater than that? Or we want to do this first line of credit, and then if we need to go back and do another line of credit or addition? And that's just for water and sewer. And we don't have that plan yet on gas. I think they're working on a plan that we'll know where we'll do for some projects for gas. Electric, we'll see in budget of some additional projects to see how their cash, but we are drawing down on their cash, which that was the plan.
I would, I think the thing is, I think, I mean, we knew about this, we can't cry over spilled milk. But I want to try to understand before I make my point. So this 6 million, going back to what Jimmy's point is, we have this in cash and we're going to pay that 6 million off. Is that what we're saying on 23?
On
That
20
deficit?
On 23, that deficit, the plan was to use the cash to cover that 6 million. We were
Okay.
gonna have 15 million in a line of credit,
And-
cash flow come in, 15 million. If we did all our projects, stayed everything within the budget of this, of what we put in place, we would spend down our cash.
Yeah, so this 6 million that we're planning to take care of is coming out of our reserves?
Yes.
It's coming out of our reserves, okay, all right.
But then
And we
looking
can't
at
keep doing that,
24,
right.
We
and
don't
then-
have any reserves, and we've got an 18 million
Yeah,
deficit.
Deficit,
so I pulled out of
no cash flow.
reserves this week, was $2 million
Okay.
to pay an invoice.
Yeah, and so, yes, so at this point, with this 15 over our head, we'll have 15, but we'll 18 in deficit, we wouldn't have any cash flow at all, so we couldn't move, right? So, yeah, you know, I get it. Can we get, I know we're gonna put out, not speaking for I would like to put out and let the banks compete, but can we get some type of market analysis from one of these companies to see what that looks like for our water in itself, using our rates, our fees, our structure, all of those things, to see if just getting a $15 million line of credit is efficient, is the right, educated thing to do financially, or is there something better? And also, what does that look like paying it off? What's our plan paying it off? Since most of us are debt averse, I would like to have some type of professional come in and do that type of assessment and give us a plan to where we're really never in the hole because we see where the money's gonna come from. We're just getting money so we can play. We're getting capital so we can play, but we're not going into debt. We have monies coming in, revenue show that we're gonna be able to pay it off. Can we get something set up like that, you think? Kim?
If y'all would give me direction to, I would love to. There's a company called PFM, it's a financial advisor, and if we did any loan, we would have to have a financial advisor to sign off on it, but Gulf Shores Utilities is using them, the Auburn's uses them, many utilities around the state. I've had conversations with them before. They're great. I would love to be able to have them look at this too, look at this cash flow, and have another opinion. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
We
somebody
can bid
that-
those out as well.
because
but-
that is what they
But I don't
do. They
ha-
look at this.
Right.
I've talked to them in the past. They do City of Mobile, they're financial advisors for City of Mobile.
Yeah.
So they've had small utilities, large utilities.
Yeah, but I would like to see us have a plan for it more than just saying, hey, guys, we need a line of $15 million. No offense to anybody, but this is my thought process, and I've talked to Mayor about this. I would like to see that so we would have all the evidence of what we're doing, plus or minus depreciation as far as revenue, all of those things built into that plan to show that, this is what it looks like and this is how we're going to play this game. Whoever that company is, we can push that out as well, but that's what I would like to see, because it seems like, you're getting 15, but then you got to go right back to the drawing board, Jimmy, the next year, and then you got to go right back to the drawing board again. I don't see any breath here as I look down the projections all the way out to 28.
Well, I know, I know these are conservative numbers on the revenue side.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll do better than what's projected here. We've got some clauses that allow, or not even allow, they kind of dictate if we add people or do certain projects, we're supposed to increase rates to help cover that. So that might help a little bit, but I'm a believer of get more than you think you need. So if you're saying
That's right.
15, I'd get more and I'd get it for longer because
Yeah.
the cost, the closing cost to get a line of credit for 15 versus say 20 or 25, the difference ought to be pretty negligible. The only additional cost is going to be if you use it, and if you use it, you wouldn't use it unless you needed it. And then you could try to keep that down to a minimum and manage your cash flow throughout the project. But projects tend to take longer than you think. I guess I would be going for a larger line than the 15 just gets you through year one, and
Right.
then you're right back here. So I'd get a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And if you think you need it for 3 years, I'd probably get it for 4 years just to.
I was thinking more 45 million for 5 years, line of credit.
Yeah, but I mean, that's.
If you're
but I would
trying to
want
do all
somebody to
these
assess that To
projects-
see what
Yeah,
that looks like. If we're talking about big numbers like that, I still would want somebody
Yeah.
to assess that plan, show us, you know. Yeah,
But if you don't need it, you won't use it. It's a line of credit.
Right.
yeah, we understand. Yeah,
All right.
all right.
When you look at you look at that cash flow going out the
No, I
next
see
5
it.
years.
I mean, Yeah,
It
When
looks
you-
right, it's about 31.
it's 30, it's like 34, 35 is what I was, you know, if you round up. Yeah,
But the next step, I mean, I can contact PFM and see, bring something back.
Yeah, I think that would be, I think Corey's idea is great, and I'm sure that's probably something that's been discussed. I mean, having, you know, not just get a line of credit and take the money, but some realistic plan of the revenues to pay that back and some plan to do that. Because unfortunately, even though these improvements are underway, they're not the only ones, and they're not gonna stop. I
Right.
mean, you know, we're in catch-up phase right now, but once we get through the catch-up phase, then we're in the maintenance phase and upgrade phase, and that, it just, I don't think it ever stops. And so we need to be prepared for that, as well as what we're trying to do in the immediate future.
We
So-
already know that we need another well.
Yeah.
I mean, which is not, this is not accounting for that, so it's not gonna stop. It's only gonna
yeah.
continue.
And we also know that we have to look at our rate structure, like, you know, Jimmy mentioned a little bit, I've mentioned it. We have to look at our rate structure and see what we can do to catch up on that. I hate to be the party pooper, but that's just a part of it, you know? So I would like to get somebody that comes in and puts that puzzle together and presents it to us and say, okay, this is what it looks like if we do these numbers, this number, this is what that looks like, A, B, and C, you know, for us to make a good decision.
And,
Okay.
and we're already underway under a cost of service study. And we did discuss looking at the system development charges or aid to construction in there. They can do that. It's a different component. So they've sent me that proposal for y'all to look at, to add that to the cost of service study, but we're already underway on that.
Okay.
For all 3 utilities, all 4 utilities.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with, I mean, PFM or whoever you're comfortable with. That makes sense to me.
I did hear you right. The bottom line is we need one anyway to sign off on any line of credit. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
I know for when we did the refi, we had to have and I had got PFM to sign off with it with bond counsel. So bond counsel actually does it. The line of credit, I would need to get with bond counsel and them go through it, and they can tell me if they're gonna need it. But yes, I do recommend them. I know they work for many utilities doing the same thing, doing these projections.
Since we gotta have them, you just as well put it all together.
Yeah, but Kim, I would say the consensus up here, if I'm hearing right, is that it would need to be something obviously more than 15. How high?
Let's do it year by year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
45 about knocked me out of my
I
chair,
know.
but.
It is. I
you
think
know,
that, I think
that's-
it's a big number, but
Was
there's
that
a
a
lot
trick
of
so that when you
project-
said 25, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, 25, that sounds a lot better.
You also gotta look at it.
You think 25?
It's a 5-year period though.
It is. Exactly right, Boone.
So it's 9 million per year. Hell,
Yeah.
those numbers, you spend that now.
Now, right, yeah, no doubt. It's really not a big number.
I was not using the shock factor. I was just saying 25.
All right. So, council, what direction, obviously, I think the direction that we're hearing for Kim, number one is
Financial advisor.
financial advisor, and number two, something in the 25 to,
Well, I think the financial advisor is gonna
Tell
help.
you.
Tell us that
They're
number.
gonna help calculate the cash flow for the
Right.
system.
And we'll
give
know
us
that number. That's what I'm saying. Instead of
Little
us
more
kind
of
of
a
throwing out,
nail down something.
that's exactly what I'm saying. So
well,
we
but they're
really-
not gonna know, I mean, they can help us with our revenue calculations and payback plan, but as far as the projects that we want to do and when we want to do them, that's not really something for them to
Well, I
make a
mean, we're gonna
decision
give
on.
them that information.
We're gonna give them
Yeah.
that, but we'll give them that information. But
Yeah.
they'll put all that together and tell us
They're gonna try
exactly.
to match sources and uses of funds so that we
Yep.
are not taking out more than we need
That's right, or less than we
or
need.
less.
And we have 5-year projections of projects, and that's how, for what you're seeing there, I received that information, I laid it out on those projections. So those are projects that we have plan in place.
Very good.
All right, anything else? All right, the
And my only
next.
question for the utility folks, when we get to all these projects is, can we do all the things in the budget in that kind of time frame? Because that's a lot of projects.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next up is City of Fairhope Purchasing Policy Guidelines discussion.
You can start and I'll stand here.
Yeah, you can stay there. So, as most of you know, there was legislation passed that impacted the purchasing guidelines for the state for for competitive bids and for public works bids. So the public works bids went from 50,000 to 100,000. It also did some modifications to the notice of those bids, and that becomes effective September 1st. And then the competitive bid went from 15 to 30, and that's effective August 1st of 23. So wanted to look at our internal purchasing guidelines and make sure we're being reflective of those laws that were just recently passed. So just wanted to talk with y'all, make sure you don't have any issues with that if we update the policy and then bring it back to you for approval.
Okay. No, let's get in compliance with whatever it is. I mean, whatever the changes are, our policies need to reflect what those changes were, and I don't think there's.
No, and I think if you ask, y'all been very generous with updating the purchasing policy to allow us to get work done, especially in this market of, supply chain issues and contractors, supply and everything. So I think if you would ask the leadership staff, they would tell you that, this has really been impactful in helping them move projects forward, allowing some of that internal processes for approval versus everything having to come back to the council if it's budgeted and it's if it's in the budget and we meet the bid laws. So thank you very much for doing that.
Does our current policy match what the prior numbers were then?
It does.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah, the only thing that changed was that 15 to 30 and
Yeah.
the 50 to 100. Yeah.
All right, clicking right along. Number 5 is budget discussions revenue. Kim, welcome.
So I put together, projections, and, this is something for y'all to review and be able to come back and ask questions. But there are placeholders on some things, and like the property tax, the real estate tax, that is really a placeholder there. When I emailed Revenue Commissioner Faust, they don't have the final number, so I just put a placeholder on there. But last year, we took the numbers that was received from the Revenue Commissioner. We budgeted 96%, and I'll just let you know, I'm within 16,000 of collecting that, matching it. So we're going to still stick with that methodology, as long as that's your desire. But it also, in your packet, is to show you where, as of June, where our sales tax numbers are. And so on these sales tax, what I'm looking at, what I've got in here right now budgeted, is we're looking at 22's numbers and just bringing 24's numbers, 7%, which you would ultimately just look at. It's just part of a percentage of, if you would have thought your sales tax would only grow 3.5%, and then the next year 3.5%. But as you can see, our sales tax currently right now is 7.3% over 22. So I feel very conservative of just going over from 22 to 24, 7%. That's being a very conservative number. The simplified seller's use tax, which you'll see is SSUT. I put a 10% over what it was in 22, and right now we are 22% over 22. So again, I'm just putting some very conservative numbers out there. And just that, so you'll know on sales tax as a whole, what we budgeted this year was less than what we actually came in 22, doing the same, methodology. Because for the sales tax is our big numbers will come in the next, we still have 4 months to book, and those are our big months that will start coming through. Do you have any questions on those?
It's the PJ, that's still in, we're just kind of, this is a real hypothetical number, I'm assuming, since we really don't have enough clues as of all information
Yeah,
needed.
it's just a matter of, the council deciding which direction they want to take on that
Right.
jurisdiction, the planning jurisdiction and the permitting jurisdiction when it comes
Well, I was
to,
just trying to see
the police jurisdiction's not changing, so.
Did you do both numbers,
Yeah.
whether one way or the other? I mean,
Well, the
that's-
police jurisdiction's not changing, which is what gives us our taxing power, so that's not going to change.
Our
But the
PJ
permitting the permitting would change, the permitting revenues would change,
Permitting, okay.
possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
But on the very front page, those numbers are through June 30 on the
Yes.
actuals.
Yes, this is June 30th.
So you got 3 more months left. And then some of
Yeah,
those are
and-
like real estate taxes are
Yeah, and it-
basically preloaded or.
And
paid
actually, it would be 4 months because what is actually collected in October is accrual, for accrual basis. So you really have another month in there.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes. The reports I do for y'all is truly cash basis, coming through here to kind of see. But when we actually do the financials, we're accrual accounting. So anything that comes in October, we do an entry to book it into the current year. And looking at what you're questioning about is the permits. I just put a number in there, being flat, talking with building department. They're still very busy. And we do know of subdivisions that have been approved that, the permits. So we're still looking at a big year. But I still put some assumptions in there of just really putting flat revenues for the building permits.
Looking at one, what about the building license inside the city and the building license police jurisdiction for the 2024 numbers? Those are like 10% of what the others are. Is that a typo or?
Which one are you
It's
asking?
kind of in the middle of the,
Actually, it's the business license.
Business license.
yeah, the
Inside
business
the
license
city.
inside the city and inside the police jurisdiction.
That is-
Oh, that is a typo, sorry.
And 2.79
Yeah.
and 154.
We left out 3
Yes.
zeros.
Oh, that's a good catch.
That way we looked at the same thing. we were.
That dog tax, really need to get that up.
You might as well, that should
Scrap
be
that.
null and void, right? Null and void.
I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
what
just,
efforts
somebody,
put in.
that might get you elected again.
I'm just curious where that was applied. Is the simplified sales and use tax, is that starting to level off, I know, or is it taking off even more?
Well, it's at 22% greater than it was last year.
22.4.
Yeah.
I know, it's,
Over.
It's the Amazon and eBay, and it's, when they increase those marketplace facilitators, so where it used to be an eBay didn't have to collect that tax, but now when they changed the law to create those, they're required to collect those
Bless you.
taxes. Those, so any place that is a marketplace, they have to do it.
There continues to be efforts in Montgomery to pull that tax back from the municipalities, the allocation of it. And even, to be honest, when you buy online, the allocation of the taxes, we probably still make less in sales tax revenue than we would if you went to a box store, here locally. But, being conservative on that budgeting, I think is good. I mean, I don't think, obviously, legislation's not going to happen this year, but I do think they continue in Montgomery to try to pull some of that back and reallocate it. So it's not something that we should, necessarily count on all the time, because we don't know what's going to happen to it, because we don't get to approve that allocation, but it's nice to have.
Yeah, it's the County Commission Association is very strong, and the County Commission, it was a split of the tax, that it was a total of 8%, 4% was state gets their 4%, and it was a split that it was a 2 and 2, and that the city's pot went into one pot, and then it's based on population is the allocation that comes down to each city. And then they moved it, they shifted it so that the city is getting more of that pot, and it's probably going to be a pull back and forth between the city, I guess the league. The league's going to be strong of trying to support, and then it's the county commission. But, a lot of county commissions don't have sales tax, it's an education tax.
Right.
So some of it is that they're getting it, it's just that, Baldwin County, when they actually started a sales tax, it was not an education tax. So that first penny is not an education tax. So that's the piece you're going to have pull, that they're wanting a fair share.
And I think the Big Ten mayors are really doing a push to make sure they maintain some of that. And I think their biggest gripe is that the state gets their 4% off the top. But I have a whole presentation on that I'll forward to all of you so you can look at it. It's good information.
All right, council, any additional questions for Kim right now as it relates to these revenue projections? All right. Without any further discussion, Kim, I will let you have a seat.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys, we're buzzing right through this. Council committee updates? Councilman Martin?
Let me get my, yes, I think I do. Wait, I've been ripping and running. The rec board met on previous week. I don't think that was much. I think one of the main topics was coach in the Storm, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember. You have to forgive me. But I know the pickleball courts are coming along. We're almost done with those. That came up. The swimming pool, we're continuously working on that as far as the temperature and the control, as far as the air conditioner, AC, so that's coming along as far as the swimming area. But other than that, I think those were the main things, I believe, Mayor. I don't have a report here sitting in front of me, but I think those were the main things. Nothing really that came up that was a big deal, but the council's going to have to make a decision. It was not on this agenda, but it should be on the next agenda as far as the Storm team, that ministry that they're doing out there, as far as how we're going to contract those guys. They came in and presented to us. I think they're doing a good job as far as the ministry. There's some things that we need to tighten up as far as our guys, to make our guys' lives a little bit easier, since we're giving them this opportunity. Some house cleaning issues that we told Coach about, and then we'll, as a council, decide on the length of their contract here coming up soon. It should be on the agenda. We'll all talk about it then. But those are the main issues.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Jimmy?
No updates at this time.
Kevin?
No update.
All right. I don't,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Kevin, can I talk about the harbor board?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I
I
went
almost
to.
have to since I failed to be there.
You're right. So I didn't know if he was going to, since we had a conversation. But yeah, so I also mistakenly, I was just going to visit, which was anyway, but I went to the harbor board meeting. There was a couple of things that a couple of guys on the board talked about. And I thought, me personally, I thought it was a good idea and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. One of the things, Mayor, that came up was doing some type of market analysis, which I thought was a good idea down there. I know we have a master plan, but nothing that fits that particular harbor, from what I understand, our harbor. That's just a generalized plan that we could do what we want, give us some ideas. But this would give us some revenue ideas and things that actually fit, our harbor for our citizenship. And there were some guys with some contacts, and the cost of that analysis, finances all, was under $10,000. It was like $5,000 or $6,000. And I thought it was something that, the more knowledge that we have as far as that harbor, I thought the better. And I thought it was a good idea. And that was something that they brought to me in the absence of my dear friend Kevin Boone that I spoke to about as well. But I don't know how you guys feel about that. Kevin felt like it was a good idea as well. But I think that's something that we should kind of follow up on.
Okay.
Sound good to me?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. I don't have any right now, and so we will move on from committee updates and go to department head updates. So if you got something to update us on and you got something on the agenda, please come forward, let us know.
Good evening. I've got agenda number 10 and 12. Ferguson Waterworks got the lowest bid for a 12-inch water line extension on County Road 33 from Water Treatment Plant 3 to County Road 32 for the amount of $349,670.
Darryl, what agenda item are we speaking about here?
That's 10.
Number 10.
Okay, thank you.
How many more sections of pipe upgrade are we looking at at least in the short term?
This is the last one, I believe,
Okay.
for right now. Yes, the 24, the 16, and this is the 12.
Yeah, okay, so let me see if I remember this. So this is to accommodate the well.
It's to expand water to the southern half of the system.
The 24 inch is heading to the.
Yeah, 24 is going to Walmart, to
To
the
Walmart?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, this line's heading to the.
To like 24.
South,
south,
to feed the southern section.
To 32.
to 32.
Got it, okay.
Same well 3.
So the same well 3, I thought, that's what I was trying to remember. I
So
know we ran.
When it
one-
comes out of the well, it's going to split. One's going to go north, one's going to go south.
Okay, right, off of what we already talked about going that way, and now we're talking about doing down south. Got
Correct.
it. Okay, all right. And it's 24 inch?
It's going to be 12.
Just 12.
12 inch. And we're not gonna have to upgrade that?
Nope.
These are the questions that,
I know.
because in the past, we've come with a particular inch, and then the next couple of years, they come back and say, hey, you know what? We needed to do a 18, 12 inch, whatever the next number is, 24 inch pipe,
No, this
So,
will definitely be more than sufficient than what we need right now.
for 30 years down the road.
Sure,
All
absolutely.
right, I have to ask those questions.
Yep.
Okay, Darryl. All right.
Any other questions on that matter?
Not for me. Council, any other questions for Darryl on number 10? And then number 12,
Number 12 is, we need a new contract for the dumpsters at the wastewater treatment plant for the headworks. They actually, I saw them pull their dumpsters out today. So this is, it's an emergency. We've got to have a place to put that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Yeah. And it's grease is involved, so whoever does this has to be able to handle grease as
Correct.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the
And
big
Is
deal.
Republic who currently has the dumpsters, or
I'm sorry?
is Republic the company that currently has the dumpsters?
I'm not sure who has the contract for that right now.
Not
I don't know
them.
who it is.
No, the other company pulled out. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. so-
Well, yeah, I'm just curious if there was a reason for them pulling out, or if it was,
I think they're actually
yeah,
well, that's a good reason.
That's what I heard.
As it per-
I'm impressed they
as-
came
as-
out.
as-
Okay.
yeah, As far as reasons go, we're going on
Yep.
business as good as the next one. All right. Anything else?
Nope. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Long time no see. I don't have anything on the agenda, but I did want to take a minute and thank you for your time today. I know we talked gas infrastructure at nauseum, but it's something that's very important to us, something that we're really looking forward to, something we've put a whole lot of work in, a lot of time into that, and just wanted to thank you for your time today and for your support going forward with that project. So just wanted to spend a minute and say thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having a plan to get us compliant. Keep us compliant.
Instead of one, this is a got to.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of project updates. As Councilman Martin mentioned, since the last time I reported, the American Tennis Courts has made some great progress on the pickleballs at Quail Creek, and could very well be finished up by this week. I know they've got to put the privacy portion of the fence in between the swimming pool, and the good news is the nets go up real fast because they're already sleeved into the courts, and it's just a matter of assembly. Also, if you noticed, they were unloading all the roof material for City Hall this afternoon. It arrived at 3 o'clock, so we're going to see work commencing in earnest over the next few months, and hopefully get the roof system buttoned up and in good shape. On the agenda tonight, the items I can address and that I have that are related to Public Works is we have number 7, which is a follow-up from y'all approving the mayor to negotiate and not to exceed with Jade Consulting for what we're calling the Pecan Avenue Watershed Management Plan. And just so you know, we think it's going to be a 2-phase construction project, and we are budgeting in the upcoming budget. We just want to be kind of shovel-ready on that. Also, number 8 is the renewal, or actually a new contract with ThyssenKrupp for our elevator maintenance. I will note that it's hard to believe it's been 3 years since we've been before you to install this contract. Price did go up, and just please note that. But this, they've had our contract for the last 3 years, and we probably have been in the best position of staying out of trouble with the inspectors that we have in the longest amount of time. Also, if you had any questions, Ben did a great job, but I know I got to work with him with Southern Earth Science on number 9, and I don't think I can add anything to that. Number 11, just so you know, you probably hadn't seen this in a couple of years. This is technically a budgeted item, but unfortunately, it's budgeted in next year's budget, but we have to order it now to make sure that they're here when tulip season gets here. So Kim thought, following the letter of our rules, we needed to come before you and let you know we're asking for an advance on our flower budget for FY24. And those are the items I have on the agenda. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Council, any questions for Richard on these items?
Thank you.
Council, here's a pop quiz. Without looking at your council packet, do y'all know where the 4 elevators in the city are?
I know, I think one is at that library.
Okay, library,
Library, parking garage.
parking garage.
Got mine.
That's 2.
Oh, the museum.
Museum, that's 3.
And,
This was the toughest one.
Let me think. Oh, yeah, the rec center.
The rec center.
I just had to scope my areas. Think about all the places I've been.
Now take that to your mouth.
I never used the elevator rec center, but I noticed it once because I see some people using it. I was like, I didn't even know they had a elevator at the rec center.
Sorry, that was your educational moment for
Yeah.
the council meeting. Now you know where all the elevators are.
Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I've got agenda number 5 tonight. I know it was discussed last work session. Unfortunately, I was not here. I know Miss Lisa kind of covered it for me. I just didn't know if y'all had any more questions, if y'all like to go over it.
No, I think the only, so just so I'm remembering correctly, the only official change was changing the half a day from Christmas Eve to full day.
So Juneteenth,
Yeah,
Mardi Gras. Well, y'all. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought you said the only one.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
but we now are at least in the middle of the pack as it relates to paid holidays
Yes,
for
sir.
our employees.
Yes, sir.
Because we have now, I'm guessing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plus our personal day for birthday.
Which I
Well,
moved out of the holidays and put in its own section.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
Corey,
the-
fix that to match what Richard Johnson was.
Right. It's not
Right.
a, it's not a holiday
Yeah.
because it's
It's
a
not.
paid
No,
time
no,
off. It's a
that's right. No,
PTO
no, that's-
hours.
that's
that
correct.
They get 8 extra PTO hours.
And it's a
so
lot.
we're not
yeah.
messing with that
Nope,
one.
And
absolutely not.
One thing that I was going to mention, there was a lot of discussion about having the 2 days off for Christmas, but we already have 2 days off for Thanksgiving. And I think Richard could probably address that, I mean, you know, the backdoor service, I mean, downtown, that stuff will continue. And, I mean, really, it's going to be technically a cost savings because when we were doing the half-day, sanitation was actually being thrown into overtime anyway from having to run the afternoon because they usually weren't finished with the route. So
Right.
it
Yeah,
should be a cost savings.
Yeah, my only concern, just sort of thinking like a banker for a second, is having, you know, the city closed potentially 4 days in a row on any given Christmas run or Thanksgiving, you know, but I mean, I know we have plans to handle that.
We
So
do.
that was just my
You
only,
just-
the initial
Yeah.
concern of that, but I know that we, like I said, plan for that and have ways to take care of it.
Essential, right? Just the essential guys.
Yeah, we always have, you know, folks on standby if necessary, emergency services.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Court? Court? We appreciate your service, bud. It'll be your last meeting, won't
Yes, sir. This will be my last meeting.
I didn't know that.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure
Absolutely.
working here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, man. No more confusion, Corey. Because I was looking at him like, what do you want just then?
If you want to make it weird, I can keep coming back.
Yeah. We'd love to have
I
you.
live in the city.
We spent a lot of time specializing in weird in this. in
No
these
doubt.
conversations.
You're in Fairhope, dude.
it? Fit right in, brother.
That's right.
Thank
They
you,
used to have
guys.
naked
Thank
ladies
you.
running around here.
Thank you very much.
All right, anybody else? We've got several applications on the back end. Those all look good? Yes, sir. Lieutenant Hamrick, thank you. Tree Committee,
Oh, I forgot to talk about them.
go ahead, Corey, I'll let you, if you'd like.
Yeah, we had a meeting, a tree committee. I apologize, tree committee. I did attend that meeting as well. We have a couple of applicants that are in the city limits. And I think there was a couple of things that we need to clean up in the ordinance. I talked to Marcus about, I don't know if Marcus has received that wording yet, but there's a couple of things that you lawyers play on words that we have to clean up, you know, in order for other lawyers not to be able to do that, which is probably impossible. But Marcus has that information, you know, we're going to continue to try to protect the heritage trees. You know, is one of the things that we talked about in that meeting is doing the best that we can to protect the heritage trees when we have people coming in with development, because usually, from what I've learned, it's, you know, they're able to do it. They have to build around those things. And like normal business people, they don't want to pay that extra, but I think it's worth them paying that extra for our history and our trees and aesthetics that we're looking for here in Fairhope.
Okay, thank you, Corey. Council, any question for Corey on these two nominations or appointments? All right, and then last, Mayor will can you discuss number 6 briefly, please?
So this is a resolution just to ask the council to endorse the MPO's application for the mega grant. As y'all know, for the Mobile Bay Bridge, we applied for that mega grant in the past and did not receive it this time, but received a lot of good feedback from the folks who evaluate those, and so going to apply again in hopes that we receive that money. So this is just a resolution of support.
Okay, council, any questions for the mayor on item number 6? All right, well, that concludes your work session. See y'all at 6 for your regular scheduled city council meeting.